All right, let's unpack this Praveg Ltd,
Mm-hmm.
India's leading eco-responsible luxury resorts company, just dropped their Q2 FY25 financial results.
Yeah,
And we've got a stack of sources here for you.
we do.
We got the official press release, the investor presentation,
Oh, wow.
and the auditor's report.
Talk about a deep dive.
Talk about a deep diver.
Yeah.
You might be thinking,
Mm,
luxury resorts aimed at eco-friendly? How does that even work?
right, yeah.
Well, get this.
Okay.
They specialize in building these amazing temporary structures in stunning natural locations.
Interesting.
Think like luxury tents near the Statue of Unity
Okay.
or beachfront cottages in DU.
Gotcha.
It's all about minimal environmental impact without sacrificing comfort.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So are they raking it in or what? Let's find out.
Right.
So their consolidated EBITDA is
Okay.
up a whopping 138% year over year.
Wow, that's huge.
Clearly, people are loving these eco-resorts.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Revenue more than doubled compared to Q2 FY24.
Okay.
But here's the twist.
Okay.
Net profit actually dipped slightly.
Oh.
Help us understand this. Is it just due to their ambitious expansion plans?
Well, when you look at it, it's tempting to just focus on that big revenue number.
Right.
But profitability is key.
Yeah.
And this is where understanding the nuances of financial statements comes in.
Right.
If you look at the investor presentation, you'll see their depreciation and financing costs have ballooned.
Okay, so is that directly related to all their new projects and I mean, building new resorts can't be cheap.
Yeah.
Especially if they're using like high quality, sustainable materials.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
They're clearly in growth mode, and that often means taking on debt to finance new projects,
Right.
which increases those financing costs.
Okay.
And as they build more depreciation, also rises.
So is this a smart move long term?
Yeah.
It's almost like they're taking a calculated hit now in hopes of a bigger payoff later. But what do you think about this approach?
I mean, it's a common strategy for companies looking to scale quickly,
Yeah.
especially in a growing market like ecotourism.
Yeah.
But it's not without risks.
Yeah.
The question is, will their future growth be strong enough to justify this dip in profitability?
That's what we'll have to figure out.
Yeah.
And to understand that,
Okay.
we need to break down their different business segments.
Mm-hmm.
Their investor presentation gives a really detailed breakdown of revenue by each vertical.
Okay.
And it looks like hospitality is their cash cow, bringing in 23.67 CR in Q2 alone.
No surprises there.
Yeah.
It's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
And those impressive numbers indicate a strong market appetite for their unique offerings.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But there's also this events and exhibitions segment
Okay.
that's significantly smaller, but seems to be getting a lot of attention. And that's where it gets interesting.
Yep.
They've actually acquired two advertising companies,
Oh, wow.
Abic Advertising and Bidhan Advertising.
Huh.
One's a newer company,
Okay.
while the other's been around for 50 years and launched some big names,
Okay.
like Hippolyn and Syntax.
Wow. Talk about a legacy.
Talk about a legacy, right? I have to admit, I'm struggling to see the connection here.
Yeah, on the surface, it might seem like a distraction from their core business,
Right.
but it actually aligns with their experience in building large-scale temporary structures for events and exhibitions.
Okay.
They're essentially leveraging this expertise to tap into a new but related market, outdoor advertising.
Okay, so instead of just building resorts, they're building things like billboards and those large-scale event structures that companies use for advertising.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to see the potential here.
Yeah.
But merging hospitality with advertising seems like a pretty big leap.
It is. It's a bold move for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Could it create synergy and new revenue streams?
Right.
Or will it spread their resources too thin?
Yeah.
Let's unpack these acquisitions further in part 2 of our deep dive.
Absolutely. We'll be right back.
So these acquisitions of Abic Advertising and Bidhan Advertising,
Yeah,
they raise a lot of questions.
they do.
On the surface, it seems like a pretty big departure for a luxury eco-resort company.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, are they going to start putting billboards on the sides of their eco-resorts? That doesn't seem very eco-responsible.
Not quite.
Okay.
Remember, Praveg already has a strong background in events and exhibitions.
Mm-hmm.
They build those impressive temporary structures.
Right.
That experience actually translates surprisingly well into the world of advertising, especially when you think about outdoor media like billboards and those massive hoardings you see around cities.
Okay, that makes more sense. They're
Yeah.
not just slapping ads on their resorts.
Right.
They're using their construction expertise to build advertising structures for other companies.
Exactly.
But are they just building the structures?
Yeah.
Or are they getting into the whole advertising game, like creating the ads and managing campaigns?
Good question.
Yeah.
It seems like they're aiming for a more integrated approach.
Okay.
The investor presentation actually highlights their various advertising assets.
Oh, okay.
They've secured some interesting deals,
Yeah.
like managing advertising rights for those new smart toilets in Ahmedabad,
What?
and even a partnership with the Adani airports for advertising procurement.
Interesting.
They've also got a portfolio of private hoardings across Gujarat and even media rights for HPCL hoardings.
Wow, they're not messing around.
They're not.
It sounds like they're building a pretty substantial advertising arm.
Yeah.
But what about the companies they acquired? Are those companies actually profitable?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Is.
The investor presentation gives us some snapshots of Abik Advertising and Bithan Advertising's recent performance.
Yep.
Abik, the newer company, seems to be doing quite well.
Okay.
They reported a 26.83% EBITDA margin in Q2 FY25.
Okay.
For those not familiar with financial jargon, that essentially means they're making a healthy profit from their core operations.
Gotcha.
They've also landed some big projects like those smart toilet ads and the Adani Airports deal.
Okay, so Abek seems like a solid acquisition.
It does.
What about Bithan, the company with the longer track record?
Right.
What's their story?
Their financials are a bit more concerning. They actually reported a negative EBITDA margin of negative 24.51% in Q2 FY25.
Oh, wow.
Basically, they're losing money on their core operations.
Okay, so that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Is Praveg just hoping they can turn things around? Or is there something more to this acquisition?
That's a key question for potential investors.
Yeah.
Past performance doesn't always predict the future,
Right.
but it's definitely something to consider.
For sure.
Praveg will need to carefully evaluate Bithan's operations and come up with a solid plan to get them back on track.
Yeah.
They might be banking on their existing expertise and resources to improve Bithan's performance.
Okay, so potentially a risky move, but maybe a calculated one. It all boils down to whether they can actually make this advertising venture work alongside their core hospitality business.
Right.
In business lingo, I think they call that synergy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Creating synergy is often the goal behind acquisitions and mergers,
Right.
but it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
In this case, synergy would mean finding ways to leverage the strengths of each business to create something even more valuable.
Right.
For example,
Okay.
they could create advertising packages specifically for their resort guests,
Interesting.
promote their resorts through their newly acquired advertising channels,
Okay.
or even use their event management expertise to develop unique advertising experiences for clients.
I see. So it's all about creating this network effect where the different parts of the business work together to boost each other.
Yeah.
But realistically, how likely is that to succeed? I mean, managing resorts and managing advertising campaigns seem like pretty different beasts. Aren't they risking spreading themselves too thin?
That's a legitimate concern.
Yeah, it's a delicate balancing act.
Yeah, sure.
They'll need to make sure they have the right management structures and expertise in place to handle these diverse businesses without compromising quality or focus.
Right. Okay, so we've covered their financial performance, those
Yes.
bold expansion plans,
Yeah.
and their surprising move into the advertising world.
Right.
But we can't forget what initially drew us to Praveg,
Right.
their commitment to eco-responsible luxury resorts.
Exactly. Their eco-friendly approach is at the heart of their brand identity.
Absolutely. The investor presentation mentions their use of non-permanent structures, but I'd love to get a bit more specific.
Yeah.
What exactly are they doing to ensure their operations are truly environmentally responsible?
Good point.
Yeah.
The presentation itself doesn't go into a ton of detail about their specific practices,
Okay.
but they do emphasize the importance of minimizing their impact on the natural environment. Their reliance on temporary structures is a big part of that.
By building structures that can be easily disassembled and removed, they reduce disruption to ecosystems and minimize the need for concrete and other materials that have a heavy environmental footprint.
That makes sense, but when I hear temporary structure, I tend to think of like flimsy tents or yurts.
Right.
Not exactly the image of luxury.
Yeah.
How did they reconcile that with their high-end brand image?
They've clearly invested a lot in design and construction.
Okay.
Think high-end safari tents with plush furnishings, or those beautiful wooden cottages that blend seamlessly into the natural landscape.
Gotcha.
And remember, they're strategically choosing stunning locations for their properties, places where the natural beauty enhances the luxury experience.
Okay, I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
It's not just about minimizing their negative impact.
Right.
It's about actively enhancing the environment and creating a more immersive experience for guests.
Exactly.
So they're rapidly growing, making bold acquisitions,
Yeah.
and positioning themselves as a leader in a booming market.
Right.
But as we've seen, there are also some potential risks and challenges.
For sure.
It's a complex picture, and to really understand their prospects, we need to consider the investor's perspective.
Absolutely. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll put on our investor hats and analyze Praveg's stock performance, their investment rationale, and ultimately try to answer the question, is this a company worth investing in?
All right, so we've scrutinized their financials,
All right.
dissected their expansion strategy,
Yeah.
and even pondered the complexities of ecotourism.
For sure.
Now, let's put ourselves in the shoes of a potential investor.
Okay.
Is Praveg a company worth betting on?
That's the real question, isn't it? And to answer that, we need to look beyond just their current performance and consider their future potential.
Right.
Luckily, their investor presentation does a pretty good job of laying out their investment rationale,
Okay.
essentially their sales pitch to potential investors.
So let's break it down.
Uh-huh.
What are the key points they're highlighting to entice investors?
Well, they start by touting their impressive financial track record.
Okay.
They boast a 25% revenue CAGR,
Okay.
which for those who don't speak finance means their revenue has been growing at a healthy 25% year over year.
Gotcha.
They also highlight their improved EBITDA margins,
Okay.
which basically indicates they're becoming more efficient at running their core operations.
Okay, so strong growth and improving profitability.
Right.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
But we also know their net profit dipped this quarter.
Yeah.
Do they address that at all?
They do. Their argument is that the dip is a short-term consequence of their aggressive expansion strategy.
Okay.
All those new projects and acquisitions are driving up their depreciation and financing costs,
Right.
which impacts their bottom line.
Okay.
They're essentially saying, trust us, as those new properties stabilize and start generating revenue, those margins will bounce back.
It's a classic we're playing the long game argument.
Exactly.
What else do they have in their investor arsenal?
They emphasize their diverse client portfolio, boasting over 150 clients across both government and private sectors.
Okay.
And those long-term government contracts they secured under PPP models, public-private partnerships,
Right.
provide a degree of stability and predictable revenue,
Yeah.
which is very attractive to investors who are risk-averse.
Right. Those PPP projects seem to be a big part of their story.
Yeah.
It's not just about building resorts for tourists. It's about partnering with governments to develop tourism infrastructure in a sustainable way.
Exactly. And that dovetails nicely into their next selling point, their proven expertise.
Okay.
They've been in this industry for over 20 years, managing over 550 hotel rooms through those PPPs.
Right.
That's a level of experience that's hard to come by.
Okay, so they've got a solid track record, a diverse and stable client base, and a team with decades of experience.
Yeah.
Checks a lot of boxes.
Oh, it does.
But what about their future plans? How do they plan to keep this growth momentum going?
That's where their expanding resort network comes in. They're already operating 13 properties with over 600 rooms.
Wow.
And they've got ambitious plans to add many more.
Okay.
And they're not just building anywhere.
Right.
They're focusing on unique high-demand locations
Okay.
like Udaipur, Ranthambore, Jawai, places known for their natural beauty and cultural attractions.
I'm looking at their hospitality projects roadmap here.
Yeah.
They're targeting some seriously stunning destinations.
They are.
And remember, they're doing all of this while staying true to their eco-responsible ethos.
Right.
Those non-permanent, environmentally friendly structures are a key differentiator for them.
Absolutely. They're tapping into a growing trend of travelers who are seeking luxury experiences that are also aligned with their values.
Right.
Investors are increasingly looking for companies that are incorporating ESG principles,
Okay.
environmental, social, and governance,
Right.
into their business models.
Yeah.
Praveg seems to fit that bill.
So to sum up their pitch, we're profitable mostly. We have a proven track record and a ton of experience. Yeah. We're growing rapidly.
Right.
And we're doing it all in a way that's good for the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds pretty convincing, right?
It does. But remember, any savvy investor will want to dig a little deeper.
Right.
What about the competition?
Yeah.
Is Praveg truly differentiated in the market? Or are there other players offering a similar eco-luxury experience?
Right.
And can they realistically execute on these ambitious growth plans without compromising quality or overextending themselves financially?
Those are the million-dollar questions.
There.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype,
Yeah,
but it's crucial to be critical and ask the tough questions.
exactly.
That's what separates successful investors from those who get swept up in the latest trend.
For sure. And that's where our deep dive comes in.
Right.
We've provided you with the information,
Yeah.
the different perspectives, the insights gleaned from all those reports and presentations. Now it's up to you to decide if Praveg aligns with your own investment philosophy and risk tolerance.
We've explored their financials, analyzed their strategy,
Yeah.
and even debated the complexities of ecotourism.
We have.
We've equipped you with the knowledge, but ultimately the decision is yours.
Right.
Do you think Praveg is a hidden gem poised for greatness, or are there too many red flags?
One final thought to leave you with. Praveg is operating in this exciting space where sustainability meets luxury.
Yeah.
Can they truly maintain that balance as they grow? Or will the pressures of expansion compromise their eco-friendly ideals? Food for thought as you make your investment decisions.